short cooking stream just because I need to cook and, well, I'm kind of bored today and have nothing better to do. So, hey, welcome along for the ride. Let me go ahead and mute this tab over here so I can keep an eye on you guys and not have my own self yammering in my ear. And also let me tell people that I'm doing a short cooking stream. There we go. Now, today I'm just going to make sandwiches and things for the weekend. It's rainy out, and so there's not a whole lot to do, so I can't really get out on my bike or do anything, out in the air. So what I'll probably do after this is pack them up and take them somewhere to eat for a picnic that has a shelter or something in case I get rained on. That said, let's change our title here. I really need to clean all the food crud off this keyboard. Let's see. Chicken Caesar sandwiches and chopped beef sandwiches. There we go. Alrighty. So we've got our title up there, and we're going to get started. So, really the big thing today is going to be cooking the chicken and the beef. Beef will have mushroom sauce. Chicken's going to be easiest, so we're going to go ahead and get that out of the way first. In order to do that, we're going to want to get a pan over here, and we're going to chop up this chicken real fast. Now, this is more for me to entertain myself this morning than anyone out there. No offense. I need to sharpen that. Of course, they've got this packaged up like the frickin' Maltese Falcon. Alright, here we go. Let's rinse this chicken real quick. And away we go. Oh, someone's in the chat. Let's go see who. Good morning. Hey, Ma, how's it going? Hope you're doing well today, and I hope you're eating something tasty for lunch. Here, we're going to chop up this chicken real quick. I guess I could get a plate to put it on before and after I do. There we go. I want smaller pieces if we're going to make a sandwich out of this, just so that it's easier to deal with. In fact, I might do two things. I might actually do I'll do this chicken breast into pieces, but on the next one I'm going to do it into little flat strips so that I can lay it out on a sandwich maybe a little bit easier, and we'll see which way works best. How about it? We can also do a salad, chicken Caesar salad, and I've got strawberries in the fridge, which will work really well in a salad, and I've also got some slivered almonds. And if you've never had a salad with fried chicken, slivered almonds, and strawberries on top, whoo, buddy, are you missing out. So in this case, what I think we're going to do is to cut this one into thinner strips. And there we go. See, nice, large, thin strips. Matter of fact, let's nip that off and make a separate one, because that is nice and thin and it'll be good for a sandwich. And we'll just butterfly this piece. Or just cut it in half, because, I mean, we can just lay that out and have two pieces on the sandwich. It won't be a big deal. We're going to do the same with this one, I think. There we are. Yeah, see, nice, flat pieces, thin pieces. You can lay those out on a sandwich real nice and easy, and they're easy to deal with, and they're about the right size for the buns. There we go. Another piece. And let's see if I can do this one last piece without slicing my hand off. How about it? Yes, there we go. Nice thin pieces. Now if you get like a little vein or something like that, you can just nip that off. Alright. Okie dokie. Let me turn you guys, well, let me wash my hands and then turn you guys around here, because no sense in covering my computer with salmonella. Alright, so now we are going to get some butter in the pan and then cook up this chicken real quick. Knife. Okay. Now, I wish I had some chervil, but I don't. So, for seasoning up the chicken, we are going to use salt, pepper. Let's do some sage. Sage is always good on chicken. And I want, what'll go good with Caesar dressing, guys? Okay, yeah. Celery salt and coriander. Just for a change of pace, you know? There we go. So what are y'all up to today? Anything good? I hope so. Add a little salt to the bottom of the pan. And we'll do our strips first, just because they'll sop up the butter real neatly. There we go. Now, wash our hands real quick, or rinse them at the very least. And then we're going to season this up a bit. A little salt, little black pepper, and there's your important bits of herbs and spice right there. Now for the fancy bits, get a little coriander going. Oh yeah. Little sage. And some celery salt. A little more. Yum! Alright, that's smelling good. There we go. I'm going to need another plate. Just because we need something to put the cooked chicken on when we're done with it. And then when this comes out, we will drop the chunklets in and do pretty much the same thing with them as we're doing with the strips. Basil is a really good idea too. As a matter of fact, I am going to do that on the chunks. That'll be wonderful. Thanks, Ma. Good idea. Now, I'm always real careful using metal anything on my nonstick pans. So maybe we'll just lift the end of this before flipping it. But when your pan's full like this, it's nice to be able to articulate where you set something down. And I would rather dirty 2 utensils than I would scratch up my pretty nonstick pan. because once you scratch one, it no longer is non-stick. It becomes a stick pad. I'm not funny. I just think I am. Just flip back over. I'm not ready for that yet. Smelling good, y'all. All right, so let's go ahead and try to deal with this leftover gunk from our chicken wrapping. And what I tend to like to do, especially if it's going to be in your trash can for a day or two, is to tie it up in a bag so that the smell does not escape. Although I'll probably take this outside and stick it in the outside garbage can in a bit. But it's also nice to have it in a bag where it won't smell, so that critters aren't attracted to it. Alright. Alright. There we go. Flip this last one over. Looking pretty tasty, eh? Oh. Come on. There we go. Although we might turn the fan on so that the grease and steam goes outside rather than everywhere in here. That is looking really, really good. Now, I also have this lovely piece of beef, and we're going to do it up two ways today. But in order to do that, I'm probably going to need a couple of pans. This is the only piece I'm worried about right here, this big thick one. The rest of them I'm sure is done, but I'm leaving them in long enough to make sure that this big piece is pretty much done all the way through. Matter of fact, we can probably start offloading these, and I can start putting the smaller pieces in. Although I kind of hate to do that because, you know, if you're going to keep this bigger piece in for a bit, it'd be good not to have it come in contact with raw chicken before you take it out. Although, yeah, it looks done. I think we're fine. I'll check on it and throw it back in if we need to. That said, here come our smaller pieces, which are going to want some butter. Quite a bit of it, actually. Not that much. Okay, yeah, maybe that much. Scoot that butter around a little bit. We'll get salt. Pepper. Celery salt. Coriander, which is always tasty. And what was it you said, Ma? Basil? That's an excellent idea. Basil. Excellent. Thanks. Now, while that chicken sits, we are going to need to carve up this beef a little bit, because I'm going to cook it 2 ways. First things first, we wash our knife real good. Because nobody likes cross-contamination. Ready. Boom. Excuse me. All right. Now, we're going to keep an eye on the chicken here for a minute. And I am going to get rid of the package that the beef was in. Alright, come with me guys, we're going to check on this chicken real fast. There we go. I just cleaned this stove yesterday and it's already a spattery greasy mess. Oh well, you know. Let that go for a minute. Now you guys come over here with me real quick, because we're going to do 2 things with this piece of beef. And I don't need the fat pad on the bottom because I'm not roasting it, so I will be cutting that off. But in the meantime, what I am going to do, because I do want a larger piece of this to put in the pan, is we are going to take and get a nice slab of it here. And that is going to be our slab, and we'll season that up. Now for this part down here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this fat off of it, and then I'm going to sliver it into a bunch of tiny little pieces, little ribbons, and we're going to fry those up with mushrooms in a sauce. And the end result is going to be kind of a nice chopped beef sandwich. There we go. I really need to sharpen this knife. I should get a different one for this. But this one is the only one I have of an appropriate size. There we go. Alright, I'm going to be right back, because I need to check on this chicken. Which actually, I believe is done. So let's take our chicken, put it on our plate here real quick, and then you guys know what time it is. It is time to wash our pan, because if you wash it while it's hot, it is a lot easier to deal with. I mean, it's a non-stick pan to begin with, but if you take the time to clean it out while it's still really good and hot, and before everything sets on it, it will it will be a lot easier to deal with. And it'll come nicely clean with a minimum of effort. Oh yeah, there we go. Rinse out the soap. And dry it off. Peachy keen and squeaky clean. Alright. Now for the meat, we're going to want this one because I tend to want to cut things in the pan. So we're just going to get that warming up for half a second. Now, because things are going to get busy in a minute, this is going to be the piece I sear. This is going to be the piece I turn into sandwiches. So I am going to just finely chop this into little thin ribbons. We still got a little chunklet of the fat under there, which is not the end of the world, but it just kind of makes it hard to deal with if we're chopping it real fine, especially if your knife isn't sharp. And speaking of which, with this articulate work, since my knife is suspect at the moment, I am actually going to do the appropriate thing and get another one. There. I think this one's probably... Oh yeah, there we go. I've sharpened that one recently. What a difference a nice sharp knife makes. Alright, we've got some chopped beef right there. That's a bit of a big piece. There we go. Now, I think we'll just trim this little pad off the top here. Set that over here. Yeah, we can take some nice little thin pieces off of this. All right, so this is going to be for our sandwich. We'll have a nice chopped beef sandwich. But before that, we are going to take this lovely little thing and we're going to season it up and make it into a seared steak. So, I say we keep with our theme. We do some celery salt, which is always good. A little coriander, which is wonderful. There we go, come on. Little sage, which is always fun. Some black pepper. And some salt. And let's just pat that in there so that it stays. And we'll season up the other side when it's in the pan. I actually have no clue what cut that is. I bought it at the store because it was on sale for $3.99 a pound. But you know, interestingly enough, people talk about which cuts of meat are the best, and yes, there are certain cuts of meat that are much more suited to one dish than another, yada yada. But I find if you pay attention to the grain of the meat and the marbling, and I let my pan get too hot. We're gonna have that cool down a bit, or bad things are gonna happen. I find if you pay attention to the marbling and the cut and the way that the beef is, you can pretty much do anything with any cut of meat and make it edible. I mean, you don't want to take some tough old shoe leather piece of meat and serve it up as a tender steak, but within reason, you can pretty much make any dish with any cut of meat you've got if you're careful about how you do it. So I bet you this thing's hot enough to where we're going to get a Leidenfrost effect if we put a little water on it. Yep. See the water swimming around? Watch this. The Leidenfrost effect, where the pan is so hot that the water won't stick to it. Ha ha ha! See, it just fills up and dances around. That is called the Leidenfrost effect, and it means I've got my pan too hot. Yeah, now see, now the water's just kind of pooling and sizzling. That means that the pan has started to cool down a bit. In which case, I can probably turn the heat back on and we can work with this a little bit. So we're going to throw this piece of butter in just to give our stainless steel pan a bit of a season, a little bit of some kind of oil so that the steak doesn't stick entirely to it. But we're going to need to get it in quick, because if we don't, the butter's going to scorch real bad. So away we go. But now the pan's good and hot, and that'll start to sear real easy. So while it does, we're going to season the other side of it here real quick. Salt, pepper, celery salt, our coriander here, some sage, and I'll tell you what else I want on this. A little bit of onion powder. Oh, someone's talking. To Bacon Maker and Shame. How's it going, guys? Welcome to my kitchen. And I think Mum was right when she suggested some basil. Basil will go good on this too. So pat all that down so when I flip this over, it doesn't come off. I got you this time, Shame, didn't I? Well, welcome to the stream. How you guys doing today? I've already made chicken, because I'm making chicken Caesar sandwiches and some chicken salads. So here's our chicken all seasoned up and delicious. Yummy. And now I'm making two different kinds of beef. I'm going to make like the chunks of beef like I did for the Monster Hunter thing. And I've also got some chopped beef over here that I'm going to make chopped beef sandwiches with a nice thick mushroom sauce. It'll be kind of a hoagie sort of thing. Where's the lamb sauce? I need to make lamb sometime on the stream because I like lamb. The only thing that keeps me from making it more often is they're so cute. And yet they're so delicious. I know that sounds horrible, but they are tasty. So what you guys up to today? Anything good? Let's see. Thank you. Yes, it smells good. You should be. Come on down. Come on down to Cincinnati. I will feed you. It'll be great. We are gonna flip this over now. In contrast to a couple of minutes ago, I think I let the pan get a little too cool, but that's okay. We'll fix it when we flip this thing over. While we wait for this to sear, I should probably do something about this knife because it's one of my favorites, but as I was cutting beef a little bit ago, I noticed that it's starting to lose its edge a little bit. So, we'll just... Where's the break into house button? I'll pay you to make me gyros, like a lot of money. A lot of money to pay. Break into. It's next to the donation. Yeah, the break into house button is next to the donation button. You don't actually need to break into my house. You are welcome to stop by, and I will feed friends. I'll even open the door for you. Oh, that's much better. Yeah. Now, after you sharpen your knife, don't forget to wash it because there's little metal flakes all over it. Interestingly enough, those whetstones don't actually pare down the knife. What they tend to do is knock off any nicks and imperfections and straighten out the edge where it's kind of bent or curled. But they will knock off little chips and things like that that have like gotten bent out of line, and then it knocks them off, and then little metal flakies are all over the end of your knife. And you don't want that. Uh-oh. Well, speaking of knives, let me flip this over real quick one more time. We got to cut this before it gets overdone. I could use a fork for this, actually. And you can see why I didn't want to use my non-stick pan for this. I'm actually slicing in the pan, which won't hurt this particular pan, but it would a non-stick. Oh, come on. There we go. We'll just upend that, and we will sear the ends on all of these. Let me switch hands so you guys can see what I'm doing. This is not the right knife for this. The other knife I had was in fact the right knife for this job, but I was ill prepared for today's stream. There. Sorry. That took forever and it shouldn't have. Gyro? Yeah, I've heard that before too. There was a Greek guy that told me it's gyro, or something that sounds sort of like that. So I tend to defer to him, but before that I used to call them heroes, but apparently it's not a hard H sound, it's more of a yeah. But hero, gyro, gyro, no matter what you call it, I know what you mean, and they are delicious. Now look at that, ladies and gentlemen. This is turning out pretty smexy looking. So when I get done with these, what I'm probably going to do is they'll be rare in the center, and I'll let them cool, and then I'm going to slice them up into little like tiles, and then sprinkle them on my salad, which will be delicious. I bet you we can go ahead and flip this. Oh yeah. There we go. Now, because I cut them off at separate times, I am giving them a minute or two between flipping them, just because I want them evenly done on all sides, and since I laid them down at different times, I'm going to flip them at different times, which should, keep them relatively even. While we wait on that for a half a moment, let me show you guys my favorite knives. This one I picked up, I think in Kingsport, Tennessee at a yard sale. It's a 8.5, 9-inch French chef's knife. I don't know the brand because it doesn't have one on it. It just says made in Japan, and it's been one of my favorite knives since I picked it up. This other one is a Chinese style cook's knife. It is not a butcher's knife. You can see the edge is a different shape, and it's nowhere near as thick as a butcher's knife. It's a Chinese style cook's knife. It was a cheap $19 Joyce Chen that I picked up at a world market one time. This is one of my favorite knives. I absolutely love it, and I wouldn't be caught without. There we go. Look at that. Oopsie. Let's give it a little more time. Now, we're going to want a plate for these. Let's see. Oh, that's got to be, that's got to be Shadow Strider with that name I can't read. Hello and welcome to the stream. How you doing today, man? It's good to see you, and it's good to have you here. Let's see. Constantino, there's a good name. I like that. One knife to chop and prep everything. Yes and no. If you're trying to fillet fish or something, then doing it with that chef's knife of mine is going to be kind of a chore. I mean, you can do it. But as far as knives go, if you're filleting fish or something, you'll want a fillet knife. The right knife for the right job. The reason I have two different kinds of chef's knives is just because I like both of them. And as long as you can get the task done well with a particular kind of knife, you should not feel like you have to have one or the other or this or that to get a job done. On the other hand, there are certain knives that make certain tasks a lot easier, which is why, you have different kinds of knives in the first place. Like, you guys know me, I love everything Japanese. I've always been enamored with Japan, with the exception of their Santoku knives, the Japanese-style chef's knives. I don't work well with them, and I don't favor them. They're all right, and I could use them, but I prefer either a Chinese or a French style. Now, the Japanese do have a vegetable knife, which is a little square knife that kind of reminds you of the Chinese knife, called a nakiri. And it's for shaving vegetables and things like that, or doing sushi. And the nakiri knife, which is kind of their version of a veggie knife, and I've probably got one here. Yeah, and it's in a package, but see, it's another little thin square knife. Really sharp, really thin. I like those really well, but I don't favor the Santoku style of knife, and they're really nice, and I'm sure if I had a really nice one, I'd probably enjoy it. But when I reach in the drawer for a knife, 99 times out of 100, I will pass it by and go for my favorite, which is the Chinese one. And then if it is not available, or I need more than one knife due to cross-contamination concerns or things like that, I will get a French-style chef knife, because I learned with a French-style chef knife, and that's what I'm most familiar with. Although, I will say, once you learn it, this handles just exactly like one, almost. Except you keep your finger up here under the blade, and I like to rest my thumb on the top of this to give it a little control, unlike a French style, which I tend to, hold a little lower. But basically, if you want to cook with a sharpened piece of plastic, well, that's a bad idea for multiple reasons. I was going to say glass, but, that's also a terrible idea. But the point is, if it cuts the food the way you want it cut, you can use anything. All right, let me check on hack here real quick and see what you guys are up to. Have you ever tried eating a clock? Time consuming. Oh, Dab stole Shame's joke. Good one, both of you. And don't worry, Shame, it was clever. Even if you just did the setup for it, it was clever, and thank you, Shame. Alright, last thing to cook. We are going to do some beef with mushrooms, and this is going to be nice, because we're going to get a little butter going here. Actually, a lot of butter, because mushrooms just drink this stuff. And so we got white mushrooms. You know all the dad jokes. Yes, yes you do. Yeah, we're going to need more butter. I'm just going to do up all of these because I like mushrooms and I will eat them. But we're going to need more butter. And you know, guys, I was thinking of just using onion powder, but I have an onion here. Why not go for the real deal, eh? I just got to find somewhere to stick my meat. Let me rephrase that. I need to find somewhere to place the beef. See, I know y'all. All right. So, we don't need a lot of this. I mean, just a little bit, and I'm going to have to cut it up fast while we, there's a bad spot. Let's take that layer off. There we go. We'll flip that because it touched it. Every once in a while, you'll get a little weird mold that's only under, like, the skin of the onion. But don't let that get on your onion. Otherwise, it'll get in your food and it'll make a funny taste, especially for people who have sensitive palates. They'll be able to taste it. There's always that one person that says, well, this tastes funny, and no one else can taste it, but they'll insist that it does. Well, you know, sometimes it's people being picky, and sometimes, really, they can just taste something that you can't. It's hard to tell which sometimes. But that's enough onion, I think. Let's come on over here and throw it in with our mushrooms. There we go. Okie dokie. Wooden spoon. Non-stick pan. You don't put metal in a non-stick pan. I absolutely love mushrooms. But they just drink butter. Come on. So, we're going to keep some of the moisture in there so that they don't dry out so bad. And before we throw the beef in there, we are going to want to prep it a little bit because we want it nice and rich. So after they cook down a little bit, we're going to throw a little beef bouillon in there and a little dollop of Marmite. Now, I was teasing Noisy Boy Jr. recently about Marmite and Vegemite, but it's a brewer's yeast paste, and other than eating it on sandwiches, which Australians are known to do, you can use it to richen up sauces like mushroom sauces and beef sauces and things like that. And here in the States, that would probably be the most common use for this. I've also, when I'm cooking vegetarian meals or meals for people that are supposed to not have certain things in their diet, but they want kind of a rich flavor like a beef broth would give you. But, you know, they can't eat a lot of salt, or, you know, they're supposed to cut down meat or fats or things like that.
this and mushrooms put together will actually give you a beefiness that doesn't require beef, which is cool. Let's see what you guys are. You're clipping that? Yeah. I knew you were gonna clip that. Thanks, Dab. I really appreciate that. Oh me, you guys are great. Now look, see, these are starting to cook down real good. Like, you can especially see ones like this one, and like this one and this one. Those are gonna be good. Let me get my bouillon real quick. Oh, it's in Discord too. You're on top of it, man. Oh, shoot. Alright. Here we go. So a little beef bouillon and our Marmite, and we'll get both of those things going. We can go ahead and sprinkle in our beef bouillon a little bit. Just be careful, because it will eat into the moisture of this. And you might want to throw in a little water. Or if you're cooking with like a burgundy wine or something like that, throw that in. But either way, once you put in a little sprinkle of beef bouillon, you're going to want to keep an eye on the moisture, because the mushrooms not only drink it, so does this stuff. So we'll keep the lid on. And let's wrap up our onion, I guess, so that... To show you something. Onion, cut side down, just like with a tomato. And if you throw a little bit of cling film, saran wrap, plastic wrap, whatever you want to call it, over the top of it, that will keep in the refrigerator for like freaking ever. Of course, it shouldn't have to, because I'm going to come back and eat the rest of it in a dish sometime real soon anyway. And look at that! Our mushrooms are really starting to look special. So what we've got to do now is to cook our beef. And, oh, another thing that's great about this, and I'll show you guys, when you go to pick up a bunch of things that have been chopped up very finely, there's a wide surface, so it's nice for being able to pick up, see, a whole bunch of stuff at once. I mean, if you get real good at cooking, you can pick up a whole bunch of stuff at once with a French-style chef's knife too, but this has a lot of surface real estate that you can grab things with. It's really nice. Oh, and look at that. I've left a whole bunch of onions on the side of my other knife. There we go. Okie dokie. Coming over here with me, we're going to finish this up. Actually, we'll kind of get the beef to the middle where it's going to stay warmest and let it cook and soak in all that goodness. Now, throw a little water in there to kind of get some moisture going. And we'll let that cook down while I do something about these fat scraps here. Now, if I was really ambitious today, I would take these fat scraps and I would throw them into a pot and boil them down and make some beef stock, put carrots and celery and yada yada. You know, as I'm talking about it, I wonder why I'm not doing it. So I'm going to. Let's do this! Ha-ha! All right. Surprise! We're making beef stock! That was not my intent. We get a pan. We get our beef fat. Boom. Boom. So for this, I'm going to need celery and carrots. So let's do this. I wasn't planning on it, but it'll only take a second, and why not? Do I have celery? I do, but it sure ain't pretty. Ugh. Okay. Okay, so maybe we'll use celery salt. Carrots, on the other hand, should be just fine. So, we'll wash these little bad boys real quick. It'll be grand. We only need a couple for flavoring. Where's my towel? Ah. Let's check on our chopped beef here real quick. Fold that over. Yeah, we can turn this down a little bit. And let it simmer and get tender. You guys will help me keep an eye on that, right? Alright, so. All I have is these little personal mini carrots. Now, see, you can get them all up on a French-style chef's knife as well, but if I was using the Chinese one for this, I would be able to like pick up like 15 carrots all at once and just chuck them in there. Okay, so we've got our beef and our carrots in here. A little onion salt, a little celery salt, and here's something cool. I've got bay leaf powder. Bay leaf is always good with beef, especially with stocks. So in it goes. And then from here, all we have to do is just add water. Add more than you need because it is going to cook down. I also want some black pepper in this. So let's do that. Okay. We cover it. And onto the stove it goes. You know, they say there's two kinds of people, those who ask why, and those who ask why not. All right, my little carrots are going back into the fridge. While we wait for that to finish, let's have a little glass of lemonade, shall we? I think that'd be a great idea. Cheers. Very tasty. I also picked up some cheese curds, so you guys will have to help me decide what to do with these at some point. All right. Now, here is the appropriate time to put the Marmite in here. And I always do this with a knife, not with a spoon, because this stuff welds like cement. But this will richen this up, thicken it up, and make it taste beefier than it would with, oddly enough, just beef in it. And if you guys ever pay attention to like beef flavored things, you will notice that one of the ingredients is always some kind of yeast. You will see it in beef broth. You will see it in beef flavored snacks. You will see it in a lot of products that actually contain beef, like beef patties. Like hamburgers will sometimes contain a mixture of soy and yeast, and that is why your hamburger that you cook at home doesn't have that richness that sometimes you get out of a commercially made hamburger, because they add yeast and soy, and what you were tasting in there that gives it that beefy flavor is actually not beef at all. Uh-oh. Hello? lost a mushroom. No, I've lost an onion. There we go. That one got a little char grilled. There we go. Now let's kick this up a little bit, get that done, and we'll make sandwiches out of it. And our chicken Caesar stuff. The more you know, starting to... Thank you.
The More You Know, starring Duffy as Duffy. And Jerry Mathers as the Beaver.
I don't know if any of you, besides, my mom's hanging out in the chat somewhere, but I don't know if anyone else here is old enough to remember Leave It to Beaver. But the scriptwriters wrote that kid as dumb as a brick. I mean, I know he was supposed to be the cute all-American kid that didn't quite know anything, so within context, he was the one that was supposed to be taught the valuable lesson of the day, so he had to be the one initially ignorant of the lesson. But dang, they made that kid dumb. Well, I should say they wrote that kid as being dumb. Because I'm sure Jerry Mathers was actually a pretty clever kid and a good actor. Interestingly enough, it takes a very talented actor to play someone who is convincingly stupid. Like The Vicar of Dibley, which was a British comedy. The vicar had this assistant, and I don't remember exactly what her role in the parish was, but she was this blonde girl, and I don't remember the actress's name who played her, but she played her magnificently. She was ditzy, and she was almost, she was almost like a Pinky from Pinky and the Brain sort of character. I think so, Brian, but where are we going to get that many sheep intestines? Just someone who completely and totally misses the point consistently. And interestingly enough, she played the character so well, and it was actually one of my favorite characters in the series because of that. And to hear it told, I think she actually had a whole lot of fun playing the character too. Oh, that is wonderful, y'all. So here's what we got to do. We got to find a bowl for this. Big bowl, big bowl. Necesito un dada para esto. ¿Dónde está? Aquí. Bueno! Haha! All right. We got a bowl. Yummy. All right, y'all. I'm hungry. Who's gonna come here and help me eat this? I don't want to wash the pan, I want to lick it. Terrible idea, by the way. It's probably about 300 degrees. So, washing the pan it is. Come on over here and we'll wash the pan together. It'll be great. And Deb, I am going to get around to watching that clip in a minute. And when I do, you're all in trouble. Oh, me. Matter of fact, keep your eye on Instagram after I go off the air here in a minute, because I will send my rebuttal. Clean pan. dry it, and put it away. Okay, guys. Actually, I want to leave this pan out because we need to do one more thing. By the way, over here. Look at that! Look at that! Isn't that wonderful looking? This is gonna be delicious. I don't know about gonna be delicious. It is delicious. Look. Mushrooms. My favorite. So, we've got our 3 different meats cooked up. Now, since these are going to be sandwiches, we have to attend to that. And what I've got is some nice little sub rolls. Let me show you guys a real quick trick for turning these into really tasty sandwiches real fast. I've got these sub rolls, which are fine by themselves, but they could use a little bit of something extra. Oh, there we go. Yeah, my beef stock is cooking there, and we'll go over to that in a minute. But so for these rolls, right? They smell good, they look good, they are good. However, we are going to slice them in half real quick. And, where'd my knife go? I'll get another one since the other one was in meat juice. Okay. Now, we butter these up on the bottoms, right? Get them good and covered. And we're going to turn this pan on real fast here because we want it hot when this goes in. You might also note that I'm using the very last of my butter here. We have made it through an entire 1-pound roll of Amish butter since I started doing these segments regularly. There we go. Last of the butter, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we want to make sure that the pan is good and hot. And a good way to do that, if you've got good clean hands, is to get a little dot of water on your finger. And if you toss it in the pan and you hear a sizzle, it means that the pan's warm enough for this. So come on over here. We're going to make toasty restaurant style buns. And if you want, you can put a little salt in there too, but there we go. Just push the buns down onto the surface of the hot pan. You know how restaurant hamburger buns are all crispy and toasty on the edges and on the inside? This is exactly how they do it. Let's see. Heard the name before, but I doubt it was popular here, or that you are old enough. What was that? Oh, the Leave It to Beaver? Yeah, that's when was Leave It to Beaver? The 50s? I think it was in the 50s, maybe the 60s, but the show itself was a throwback to the 50s. So looking at me, you know I either obviously caught it in reruns or I am some sort of long-lived elf. And since I don't have the ears, you know that I caught it in reruns. Okay, pick these up and check on them. Look at that! That's exactly what you want right there. And that's all it takes is a moment or two on a nice hot pan like this. Let me get it off before it actually scorches. And we will build us some delicious sandwiches. Uh-oh. There we go. But first, wash the pan while it's hot, always. Whee! Listen to that sizzle. This one doesn't require a whole lot of washing because bread and butter doesn't really stick all that bad. You just need to make sure it's clean, especially the butter, because you don't want like butter residue going rancid on your pan. You want it wiped out and completely clean and pristine before you hang it back up. Now, I want to show you guys something awesome. Why does my system want to log out? I don't know, but look, crispy and toasty on the inside. Isn't that beautiful? That's exactly what you want. Now, we're going to start with a lovely little piece of Havarti cheese, because everybody loves cheese. Don't even pretend like you don't. Okay. There we go. Yeah, close enough. Okay. Cheese. Cheese is good. Cheese is life. In this case, we are going to get some of this beef and mushroom and just put it right onto our sandwich. I should probably be doing this with tongs or something, but I am, again, not really well prepared today. There you have it. Now, if you want to be a little extravagant, we can stick another piece of cheese on it so that it melts down and it kind of keeps the whole thing well contained. There we go. All right. Come on. Boom. Instant hoagie. I can't wait, y'all. It's going to be wonderful. Now, bear in mind we still have our chicken and our other beef over there. So, I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to take it somewhere and eat it after we get done here. It's going to be great. But, we still have some things to do. And I'm going to show you guys something really, really awesome. They had these on sale, these little living lettuces. You actually get the roots and they put water in the bottom and it keeps them fresh for a really, really, really long time, which is nice. But I got it because it was on sale for 89 cents. Okay, now here is a good salad to go with things. You start with your lettuce. I like to tear it up so you get, you know, more bites. There we go. Take our lettuce and put it back in its little home. Okay, we now have almonds. Actually, the last of my almonds. We are going to cut up a strawberry. And now, we are going to put in some of this chicken. We sure get plenty of chicken in there. Yummy. Looky there. Now, last but certainly not least, we need a good dressing for this. I like Caesar. So we'll just put a little bit. You know what's also real good in this is some Italian dressing. I like a good Italian dressing. I also don't like a whole lot of dressing. Just a little bit, you know? So, let's put this away real quick. Now, another thing you can also put in a salad like this is this beef. Now, I'm not going to put chicken and beef in the same salad, of course, but I'll show you how I cut this up to go in this salad. If you simply cut it into little tiles like that. Oh, come on, white balance, please. Yeah, there you go, little tiles. Yummy. It's really, really good. And you can do them thicker or thinner. Like if you want them thick like this, that's fine. Or, let me show you. If you want them even down to like shave them real thin. You could go everything in between. See? And the only thing that's important is it delicious? And it is. So we'll just finish cutting those up. And I will eat them. Oh. Let's check on this stock real quick. Cabbage came in a plastic. No, it's not cabbage, it's lettuce. Yeah, and the reason they have it in the little plastic box is because it's got the roots on it, and there's like a little reservoir down here in the bottom, so you can actually add water to it, and it will drink the water, and it's actually still alive. It will live in your refrigerator for a much longer time without getting all wilty and nasty and spoiled. But like I said, I just bought it because it was 98 cents. And it's actually really good lettuce. It's living lettuce. I don't know what kind it is. It's hydroponically grown. I think it's Bib lettuce. It's certainly not iceberg lettuce, so yeah, I think it's Bib lettuce, but it doesn't say. But I like Bib lettuce. Also, you'll notice this is beautifully seared on the outside, beautifully medium rare on the inside. Very tasty. Let's take a look at this beef stock we're making here real quick. Yeah, there we go. Now, when you're making this, the fat will float to the top, and eventually you're going to want to skim it off. But, you know, what you really do is when it's done, you pour it through a strainer, and then you keep the stock aside, and then you use it for cooking something else, which I will probably do. I will probably use it for making some French onion soup or something, which will be tasty. That said, that is actually going to take a while, and yes, it's lettuce. That is actually going to take a while. So what I'm probably going to do in the meantime is clean up my kitchen and throw the host over to someone who is streaming. So if any of you guys have a suggestion as to someone who deserves a host, I would be all up for hearing it. And in the meantime, let's recap what we made. We made delicious chopped beef and mushroom stuffing for a hoagie. We made some wonderful rare steak strips for use in salads or just eating by themselves. We made chicken. We cut it two different ways, one for sandwiches and the other for salads. The stuffing we turned into a delicious hoagie, and for the chicken we made a wonderful salad. And plus we have little beef snacks. So it's been a really good day, y'all, and I have enough food to last me for the rest of the weekend. These strawberries I'm probably going to throw in the blender later and turn into a smoothie. But that being said, it is time to clean this place up and get on with my day. So I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. Thank you so much for stopping by and seeing me. I really appreciate it. It's always so much fun to have you in my kitchen. And I am going to throw the stream over to let's see, there's Kimmy, I have never thrown a host over to Kimmy. So today we are going to throw a host over to Kimmy. So y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you later. Take care. Bye.